in small, breathe me in and let me go. Filling the lungs inside you, and the blackened eyes make my way into your mind. Just to know what you knew, restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control. Let the darkness take control. Darkness take control. May the darkness take control. Take me in the smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Sink to your heart to find you. Open up your eyes till you're blinded by the lies, so you can see what you do. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Teardrops on the floor. The pain is over. Feel the darkness take control. Darkness take control.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the World Championship first round action, and welcome back to session number 2 as we approach to see the potential of a blockbuster of John Higgins against Ronnie O'Sullivan being ever closer once again. They have met in between each other so many times over the years, and now we're only 3 good frames away from Ronnie O'Sullivan making history, and once again he's staying his brilliant record of the Crucible of making it through to round 2 as well. After John Higgins managed to defeat Ali Carter by 10 frames to 7, we still haven't seen a single qualifier to overcome a seed. It was really close in the match of Fang Jingyi against Sean Murphy, but in the end, there was a fantastic decider there, especially that clearance from Murphy, which himself, he says is the best one he's ever made in the Crucible, despite winning 35 matches in Sheffield as well. And listen, it's a bold statement. It's up to him to make that decision as well, but you felt like that break was good. But to me personally, I get this pressure going to be on it, but apart from that brilliant shot from the pink onto the reds, I feel like yes, there would have been pressure. Yes, he was down on points, but he probably was a little bit of a statement, especially if you think that it was against the qualifier and it was in the first round. But once again, as I say, if he feels like it's better than anything that he's done in 2005, it is absolutely his decision to make. And yeah, as I say, that was the closest that we have got to see one of the qualifiers to knock out a seed. But now, surely, this is not going to be the match to do so, as Watchalong and Hossein Mafai are about to welcome the likes of Si Jiahui and Ronnie O'Sullivan next to them. And so there you go, no surprise that there was a little bit of a smile in between Ronnie O'Sullivan and Hossein Mafai as they had a chat in between each other. Hossein clearly comes across as one of those players that he's not really going to be intimidated by even the magic of the Crucible. As you can see, another great player from China, Si Jiahui, the semi-finalist here in 2023, managed to be in a couple of the ranking event finals as well. He's still looking to try and become the player that everyone has been talking about back 3 years ago, where he wasn't able to sustain that 14-7 of a lead against Luca Brissell, and then of course had a bit of a quiet campaign ever since when it comes to his career, but still managed to be up against Ronnie O'Sullivan in the quarterfinal stage on the previous season, losing out 13 frames to 9. They will not meet until the final appearance, because CJW is going to have to try and battle past the likes of Hossein Mafai, the likes of Watchalong, and then potentially meet their winner of Weeze and Mark Selby. But ultimately, we're here for one occasion, and we're here for one man. Ronnie O'Sullivan now has got a lead of 7 frames to 2 after a bit of a mixed bag performance. Really good 3 opening frames, then not so much on the 4th one. Still was able to win the frames number 4 and 5, and then was on a little bit of a bad streak of losing frames number 6 and 7, and still managed to recover with 2 really good breaks in frames number 6 and 8 as well. So it's all going to be down to seeing what is going to happen now. Is it going to be the best of Ronnie O'Sullivan that we potentially have seen in the first 3 of a formatted match? Because this is what he's going to be for him, a race to 3 to try and make sure he's not going to be too far away from that record against Jackson Page that he had on the, a couple of years ago. But ultimately, he had a bit of a confident win over Ali Carter by 10 frames to 4. Although, if you look at that particular session, he's also been scoring some really heavy points out there and had 4 centuries, 3 of them to come in the evening session, as now Hossein Mafai and CJW are going to be welcomed onto the table number 2. Let's hope that Ronnie doesn't forget that he's going to be playing on table 1. And yesterday, of course, he decided to try and join Weezer and Li Fan, as much as that was a very interesting match to be watching. I'm pretty sure he had to realise that he was going to be playing on table 1, and of course joined by Shang and he's part of the match. Anyway, it is now going to be CJW to try and complete the lineup for table number 2 as he makes his walk past the Walk of Legends. And now it is going to be, of course, the referee is going to say the same for us, Olivier Martial. And so far, nothing too significant there, realistically, from what we've seen in the previous 9 frames. It was a little bit of a, snooker battle on a couple of those frames. I'm pretty sure it was frame number 3 and 4, but apart from that, it has all been high scoring, and Shang wasn't playing too well ever since that intermission, but of course, since he lost 4 out of the opening 4 frames, it was always going to be very difficult for him to try and recover. He had to win 4 of the latest 4 frames. He wasn't able to do so, and now he's surely going to try and enjoy absolutely every single moment of his walkout, because now he will be down to the race for the round 2 for his opponent, but he's still got incredible 8 frames to try and win in the remaining 10 frames, potentially. The match is to go the distance. Well, playing now, it is going to be CJW against Hossein Mafai, who's playing CJW. There you go. Midday here, as yesterday I'm working not all the time in my office. It's on nature, so outside most of the time. Yes, Letitia, I've seen the lovely comment of you saying that you have been re-watching it, so I appreciate the support massively. And now Ronnie certainly learned his lesson from yesterday, and he will make his way towards table number 1. No mistake this time around, and hopefully the start to the second session will be just about as good as the start to the first one, because if that is the case, of course, we will be seeing John Higgins against Ronnie O'Sullivan, and if that is the case, then we'll have the matches to cover on the channel completed. Ding Zhouyi against Jiaozington is certainly going to be the first shout, and unfortunately, Weezer and Mark Selby are going to be playing their match. If Selby is to convert, by the way, he's 7-2 of an advantage over Jack Jones, at the same time as there is going to be a match of John Higgins against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Once again, potentially, not saying that is confirmed, so I'm not saying that Jack Jones and Shea Goshan are not going to be able to come back stronger, although I don't think they will be. Especially, well, I don't actually know what is going to be more difficult, to try and overcome 2-7 against Ronnie O'Sullivan or 2-7 against Mark Selby. That seems like he's actually up for the tournament. He's playing really well, and it's not really good of a break-off now by Shea Goshan. Let's see how queuing is going to be working out for Ronnie, and the answer is he didn't even go for that red. I'm pretty sure that was due to the black not being available into the left or right corner, and clearly didn't feel like there was enough of a way to try and get that the cue ball to be sent around the black As you can see, average shot time 18 seconds for Ronnie, 28 seconds for Shegoshan. The highest break is going to be on the screen. And ultimately, it all comes down to that 94% of pot success out there, because it's not been bad for him. But ultimately, you have to say, there was a point in the match where it was 97, which was absolutely incredible. You can see Boss putting 180 to 88. But that's going to be very much lined up with 660 points scored in comparison to just 275. So, yeah, it's going to be down to just the early chances here that we see. So far, it's for average frame time, 16 minutes and 16 seconds. It looks like it's a bit of a bad shot there from Ronnie. Not sure if it's a touch and ball, which could potentially prevent Shegoshan playing there right into the middle. But, of course, he has got a raid to be taken into the corner here. You just feel like how much of the cue ball can he actually see there, because he needs to be doing it with a spider, which is not really a good shout. But the black does go into the corner, to be fair. So if it manages to cut this one in, should be lined up nicely for a chance to try and take it away, as he's been doing previously. Of course, been very vocal when it comes to those first chances to be received. And he's actually been able to try and get onto the cue ball enough there to try and force that to go around the table and be lined up with slightly lower than the blue. So it's now the first chance that will go the way of Shegoshan here. You know, of course, he had a couple of early nerve misses there in the first couple of frames. In the first one especially, where, you know, he was missing a red pretty much over the pocket. And then in the second and third frames, he was having a fantastic long range shots to be taken into the left part of the table. So for now, about to get a little bit deep onto the white. Make sure that he plays for the blue here. And he wants to try and stay on the top side of the blue as long as he possibly can. Because, of course, for him, it's now going to be all the way down to... Well, first of all, of course, make sure you're not going to be joined with Li Beifan and potentially Jack Jones for the biggest defeat of the first round. And then he could try and make it towards the zone of, you know, the likes of Liam Pullen, Sam Moody, and Anthony Kowalski there, if you take it to extreme level. As the three debutants have already been eliminated. This fourth one is still battling and having probably one of the biggest challenges in the first round, and played a bit of a bat shot there. Clearly was trying to split the reds away from each other, at least get that cue ball to be into a gap in between the two of them. Hasn't worked out, and now we'll be down to just trying to take those two reds, you know, probably away from each other. It depends on the way that he wants to try and play the safety shot. You know, certainly had plenty of the angle on the blue, which, to be fair, it's a little bit weird the way that he tried to play into the side cushion so early. Of course, because of the spin that he added, so that didn't really work for him. And of course, didn't have to try and touch the yellow as he was trying to make his way towards the red. Potentially leaves out a cross double chance now for Ronnie, as he leads himself with a point, 12 points of a break there. So it's now going to be all the way down to just see what's it going to be from Ronnie O'Sullivan's point of view. Can he try and go for the red? He refused one previously in the frame. He's going to try and cue this one with just topspin there. It hasn't worked out for him at all, because the position of the cue ball would have been nicely on the black. Just didn't really manage to get the right part of the red to be hit into the corner. And now we'll be down to having another chance to try and go for the red into the left middle. It still needs to get pretty low on the white and try and make sure he avoids the contact with the green or brown, because that could easily unsettle the cue ball. But of course, it's a lot of things for you to try and keep in mind there. But he's managed to play that shot superbly well. I'm pretty sure he actually got on the right side of a green, which wasn't easy because he had a red right next to the green as well. Now he's still going to be on the wrong side of a blue. On the right side if you want to try and play that into the bulk area, but it's going to be very short of reds in that part of the table. As now, once again, work of the camera is going to be all eyes on O'Sullivan's tip there. So that's not going to be changed mid-session. So for now, he has seen a couple of those early mistakes there from Ronnie, but you know, you saw something that you can always expect from any sort of professional, because just because they miss two difficult shots that they've taken on doesn't really mean that that will be the same thing throughout the entire match as well. A bit of a bad shot there by Shegoshan, because he had to try and get that cue ball around the red and the bulk line, but it seems like at the end point he's going to be a little bit awkwardly placed on this red. And to me, it seems like he's undercut that one slightly, and this surely is going to be the first point to be scored by Ronnie O'Sullivan there, because the red is going to stay out on the table, and he will be down to a chance here for Ronnie O'Sullivan to try and go for this red into the left corner, because he still needs to make sure he eliminates the blue into the right part of the table as well. But ultimately it will come down to taking the red into the middle, then being on the right side of the blue, on the top side of it as well, and just try and take that cue ball away into the blue and into the pack straight away, because it feels like it's not really going to be the type of shot that Ronnie would like to play by taking two loose reds out of the game. But it seems like it's a shot that he's played for, and making sure that cue ball was very close to be touching another couple of reds. But in the end, he is going to be finding himself on the target. He needs to make sure, that wasn't cued well. That was a bit of a bad miss there from Ronnie, because that red, as much as he wasn't landed perfectly on it, you still would have expected him to try and take that red away without any complication. It reminds you of the one that he was trying to cue yesterday, and he miscued in frame number 8 or something, but it seems like it's going to be a different scenario here, because at that point, at least he had a point advantage to go with it. Now it's going to be down to Watchalong being back to the table, and just trying to go for that red. Carefully taken around the house, and didn't want to touch the yellow, but it gave a little bit of a nudge, which didn't really make a massive difference. And it should be down to that red to be played all the way across the table and to the bottom cushion. So played that one nicely. And the cue ball will stay towards the bulk line as well. And I feel like Ronnie is just going to try and go for that two cushion escape on the cue ball. Played that shot really well because of the line that he'd chosen. Needed to make sure that red was on the side cushion, was nowhere near the cue ball, and he managed to leave himself with a little bit of a corridor there of free space at the end. So you pretty much guarantee that Watchalong is going to try and use the same red away, because you don't really want to beat a player. Oh, that's a lucky fluke, because he caught the other red on the way in as he was trying to play that red into the right part of the table, into the left part of the table, I should say. But at the end point, a little brush of another red. Seems like that was the perfect journey for the first target red, for it to be in the pocket. And now it should be just the snooker lines up in behind the yellow. So carefully taken there by Watchalong, and it should be very much back to square one, because you wouldn't really expect this one to be a massive problem for Ronnie. But at the same point, probably can be one of those situations where you just have to try and play that cue ball carefully into the bunch. Make sure you judge the pace well. And if you do that from the bottom left corner, you should be able to do that. It's tried to do that from the bottom right, which, to be fair, seemed like, didn't really have to do anything else there. Not using any extra cushions. And now we should be, unless it's a touch and ball, should be just a very careful nudge of those reds towards the main pack, and Watchalong will leave, in the hope that he doesn't leave a free ball himself. And you just have to be hoping that your opponent will be the one to do that. Quick finish today. If Ronnie's on form, yes, Kevin, absolutely. But for now, it seems like he's already had 3 misses there, which on the shot that you would have expected him to take. A couple of them were long shots, to be fair, but, that red that he missed after making a break of 6 points wasn't good enough. Unfortunately, something that we have seen beforehand. But once again, it's only the first frame, and he certainly got the cushion to try and, not worry about that one too much. But as I say, ideally, if you do expect him to have a big run and a deep run into the tournament, you need to make sure you don't really make those mistakes at all, because Jack Jones was consistently making those today against Mark Selby, and you can see the scoreline that led the player that was absolutely the qualifier on form, probably the best name in the qualifying, when he managed to defeat Luca Brissell, making 5 centuries out there at some point. I'm not sure if he was going for that Stephen Hendry's record to try and equal it, but I'm pretty sure he was absolutely battering Brissell, despite being, behind a couple of times in the opening session as well. Yeah, not like Murphy. Yeah, listen, it's one of those things with Murphy where I said that Fang Jingyi is going to be my prediction alongside Si Jiahui to try and go at least into the 3rd round. It didn't work out, but I said it was going to be 10-8 or 10-9, so I didn't really, get too far with that one. But, of course, it's a loss. And I have to rely on Si Jiahui to try and get really deep into his match with Hossein Rafael, and then, of course, try and be very much the one to be taking the game to the next level against Watchalong as well, if he is to get himself through to the second round. And then it will only be Neil Robertson against Panjung City. It's a bad safety there from Cher, because there was no reason to be playing a shot like that. He really took a tight line there in relation to the other Reds, and this could easily be the punishment that we've been looking for. Fell asleep yesterday. Listen, I have to say, it was midnight. I'm pretty sure it was midnight because, yeah, that wasn't pretty to watch, I'll be honest with you, but the clearance was worth it. If you're a Murphy fan, it wasn't really worth it if you're a Fang Jingyi fan like me, because once again, I've got nothing against Murphy, but I would have certainly liked to see the player like Fang Jingyi to be in the second round, potentially be up against Xiao Guodong, and then we would have had a match of, Zhao Xington, Ding Zhuhui, or Xiao Guodong against sort of Fang Jingyi out there, all Chinese derby. Indeed, it was midnight. Yeah, it was just one of those things where, if you stay that late to watch the 16 frame, I thought I may as well do that until the end. But listen, fair play to Murphy. He's managed to hold himself together pretty well. And just managed to deliver when it matters. And he probably, listen, Jack Jones was the biggest name in terms of the qualifiers. This Ronnie's about to play a very important shot, so let's just have a look. He's finally lined up on the black, so let's see if he's got a good purchase on those reds. I mean, he did. He's not going to be on one, though, which is going to be classified as easy, but he's got so many reds into the middle. It felt like he's got around 4 of those. Should be the one which is the closest to being a straight line there, which you can play for the black with, but it's not going to be easy out there, because he will be down. Well, he's decided to go for another red. If you're going to try and go for the red into the right middle and try and play that cue ball through the ball cushion, that probably was the easier shot in relation to trying to pot the red, because he would have had so much of the pocket to aim at. But it's still a really good shot there from Ronnie. It's just about going to be on the top side of a blue. Allows him to take full control of the potential 5 more reds to be taken down the lower end of the table. And it does look like an 8-2 of a gap. He's going to be not too far away there for him, as he has a look to see on the relation for the ping spot, which he's basically going to have the cue ball placement for right now. Didn't want to touch the ping, but just gave it a minor brush there, which is not going to impact him too much. So now 14 points is the gap. If he takes those 4 reds, apart from the one on the side cushion, that should clearly take him more than 35 points clear, and it will be no chance for Xie Guoxiong to be coming back to the table. And listen, we could always see one of those matches like Murphy against Fang Jingyi, because, we haven't really seen 18 frames so far. We've only seen the top seeds to be winning. Chris Wakely managed to defeat Liam Pullen today by 10 frames to 6. And then, of course, since I've seen you, Watchalong managed to defeat Gary Wilson in a really nice fashion as well. I mean, we're not really going to mention too many times where the brown and the red gone into the frame 7 and 8. But listen, it was one of those things where after you win a frame like, was it 6? Was it frame number? No, it was frame number 7, wasn't it? When he had to win it on the last black with a fantastic clearance after needing to find a snooker. And now, once again, Ronnie is going to be producing incredible numbers on the break, and average shot time 13 seconds it is, which you feel like is that post calls in the first row. I mean, I may be just thinking about it, but I don't really think about post calls that too many times. So is that genuinely going to be the legend of the the class of 92 as well? Oh, there it is. There you go. There's the man you can't miss. Wow, I know Rooney was saying that he's a huge fan of Ronnie O'Sullivan. I didn't really know that Scholes was just as much of a fan. But this is going to be putting a little bit of pressure there on Ronnie, which usually he's so reluctant to. But really nice to see Paul in the first round match of Ronnie O'Sullivan to be playing. And that will certainly get the mood of the Man United fans to the whole next level. Anyway, it's not going to be a century break, but it certainly is going to be the first frame win, you would have thought, because it's now 49 points of a gap. It's not really going to be a point for Xie Guoxiong to be coming back to the table, and it will be the first frame and the first blood over to Ronnie O'Sullivan. He takes a break of 62 points, and he manages to punish Xie Guoxiong for his mistakes, as he now takes a lead of 8 frames to 2, and this could easily be a 1-hour session if Ronnie is to win the remaining 2 frames that he's looking for, and try and make this one all the way. By the way, I kind of forgot who we've got on the other table. Yeah, CJW against Hussein Al-Fahey. Listen, to me, that's going to be very one-sided in favour of CJW. And look at that. Look at that. 1 frame up and 30 points clear as well. Listen, one thing you can say about Hussein is that he's a good player, but he is no match, in my personal view, to the level of CJW. And yeah, I feel like C is going to be able to run away with that one. But anyway, listen, it's a really good frame from Ronnie, because you feel like he's able to finally step out from that sort of sequence of him making a break of 20 and 30 points. And yes, he wins the frame, which is the most important factor. But as I say, now we are going to be entering the zone where the bookies are going to basically skip the scoreline, and they will say it is down to which scoreline do you win that match with, because you will be down to Ali Carter being defeated by John Higgins, and now potentially Shego Sean yet to follow his pathway as well. And then we will be having a match of Ronnie O'Sullivan against John Higgins. Probably the best match of the second round, because if you say a lot of praise in, Chinese snooker, Ding Junhui against Xiaoxington, he's going to break all sorts of records there for China. But from the purely international basis, you probably have to say it will be down to Ronnie against John, if Ronnie is to be able to find at least 2 more frames out of the potential remaining 9 more for him to be seeing there. As hello, Gate Resher, nice to see you back in the chat there as well. And yeah, it's a really good break-off shot there by Ronnie O'Sullivan, just making sure that he's not going to be leaving too many of those reds available. And the one that he has left is now going to be covered up by the green. So it's a good shot there, making sure that the black is now still going to... Well, you can't really make sure, but, he's managed to perform a really good break-off so that the black is going to be possible into the right corner, which wasn't the case in the previous frame, at least at the opening stage of it. But yeah, that safety shot against Ronnie O'Sullivan in the previous frame of Shego Sean may still do a lot of damage to his confidence, really. And let's see the way that he's going to be able to try and recover from that, as he now has a look to see in relation to those reds to be seen there to the left corner. It does seem like it will be all the way down to taking a red off the left side. Make sure he bounces that cubel away to go all the way to the bulk area. And then if he gets close enough, then he should be lined up nicely for that opening safety battle to be, well, certainly working out in his favour. Whether he will finish like that or not, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, Shell, of course, will be a little bit nervous based on what he has experienced in frame number 10. So what's he going to be there? Oh, it's a fantastic plan there, but unfortunately that red was taken into the black, which of course you're not allowed to do. It's a fantastic shot there, as I say, but if you try and work out to make sure you free the black there, it certainly is going to be one way of doing it. As you can see, that plant was looking nowhere near the pocket, but it certainly has disappeared, and he's actually managed to achieve the outcome. You can see there a little bit of a sort of shake of the head there, Baron, as if to say, well, you know what, I'll take the 7 points of a price if I'm going to have the black to be freed up. And now, I will be surprised, I have to say this, if Shego Sean puts Ronnie back into this one again, which seems like he has done, because I'm not sure what the angle is going to be, but surely he's left the red to him into the corner. I mean, we've seen a couple of those questionable decisions already, and to be fair, Ronnie clearly didn't share my point of view on that one, and as much as he still thought that red was dangerous, so he tried to take that one towards the side cushion to make sure he wasn't leaving a chance away. But now it will be down to just carefully taking a red towards the left side. Make sure you can try and bring one of them into the open play. And then it will be down to just seeing the cue ball to try and bounce towards the area of the green ball. Seems like he's played that shot well, but not quite judged the pace well enough out there. So it will be down to just a careful shot there for him to play. In relation to, if you're going to try and take that cue ball towards the left-hand side of the table, then you need to be basically replicating what Ronnie has done in the first frame and taking that one superbly well. Well, he's going to try and do something that he's done in the third frame as well. Cue that red nicely into the corner. He is going to lose the cue ball a little bit though, but at least the red hit that he played for is going to be into the pocket. And now can he try and get himself out of trouble with taking the black into the corner? And then at that stage, he certainly should have a good chance. Oh, this is nasty of a black to be taken. It's a really bad shot for you to be lined up with, but he could not have played that shot any better. That was perfectly struck into the corner, and now he's going to be very much amongst the reds and trying to make sure that this is going to be the break that potentially puts him in firm control of this particular frame. Manages to get another red to be away from the black there, as if protecting the most precious of those colours to make sure that this is going to be the point of, well, certainty there for him, because he certainly has got so many of those reds to try and make his way through. If he's got the black to be around them, then this should be the missing piece there for him to try and go for those, you know, century breaks that I was talking about. I feel like going for a maximum is a little bit premature there from BBC. 3 reds, 2 blacks, and already have got a possible 147. You may as well do that on the first red. Although, to be fair, listen, that green that he was taking against Ryan Day for a 153 at that stage looked like the position was impossible. But this one doesn't look a lot better. 2 reds to be in a horrible placement. The pink to be right next to those reds, which doesn't always help. I feel like it's going to be really difficult for him to try and win the frame in the current visit to the table. And let alone talking about a maxi here, although of course I'm not sure if you get a double bonus, because of course he's managed to get that bonus of 147,000 for a match against Chris Swaglin, because you know, he made 2 147s in a single encounter, which of course you need to make 2 across the you know, 3 Triple Crown tournaments, and also 70 Masters counts towards that. Only him and Chang Min-yu have been able to do that. Liam Pullen was so close in the qualifier match. I'm pretty sure that was against Nopon Sankam, but just wasn't able to try and finish off with that penultimate red and repeat that story of Chang Min-yu and Ronnie O'Sullivan. But for now, Ronnie stays on the sequence of all reds and all blacks. Just carefully taking the one into the middle. Make sure he is going to go past the other red without touching it. And he is going to be lined up for the 5th black to be taken here as well, which I'm not sure if he's trying to actually focus on the 147, because to be fair, the scoreline certainly allows him to be doing that. There's not going to be loads of pressure on this particular break, and certainly on winning the frame at this stage, especially with them getting a couple of those reds to be planted safe. So now a break of 41 points and counting. Could try and make it the second break of 50 plus. And one could also make it the second century break of the match if he is to try and continue this sequence. He's now going to be on 48 points here, about to take the red away. And once again, he leaves himself that little bit of the angle to try and sort of maneuver that cue ball back for the black here. And he's about to have 2 more reds available to him after the black disappears. Oh, that certainly was a little bit too close for comfort, but as he brushes away the front jaw of the pocket, the black is still going to disappear. The cue ball is slightly out of position, but he has certainly managed to make contact with the reds next to the pink. Spread those out across the table, and that certainly should eliminate any sort of doubts for him to be winning this frame. And especially if he gets a couple more of those reds in. For now, there's still 91 points at the table. It's about to be 83 though, as the red is going to be heading towards the middle of the pocket, taking that shot really nicely, and still on the black, although from what I've seen, it might be a little bit too straight for this one, so has to try and cue this one really well and be lined up for the red into the right middle. Well, this is the one where you make a decision. Do you try and make a 147 here, or do you try and just play for the blue and make sure you don't go too hard on yourself? And there's your answer. Ronnie's not too fussed about it. You know, the prize money for the Crucible, by the way, in the UK Championship is down to be increased next year. It's not going to be the spoken 1 million for the Crucible, with Barry Hearn still saying that it will take snooker a little bit of time to get to that stage, but as now Ronnie is about to take the red away, that certainly will put him 64 points clear, to be fair, because of that 7 points of a foul that he had after taking the 1 black too many. You should count that towards a 147, because he has certainly managed to put 1 extra black out there. Of course, that one was without potting the red first. And now he certainly is only going to be 1 frame from glory, as this could be one of the shortest sessions that he possibly can imagine. You know, 30 minutes in, already 2 frames are there to be won there by Ronnie, and it's a fantastic break of 78 points and counting. Finally, seems like he's managed to sort out the queuing, and he's about to have a really good chance for a century. Because as mentioned, he's got 2 reds to be positioned badly, but you know, the 2 more that he needs, if he takes those with a black, he should be lined up with 101 of a break, which is going to be another fantastic Crucible century for him. Just trying to carefully, well, I say carefully, absolutely butchers the black into the corner, And he's still going to be looking at this red to be taken into the middle. And as long as he plays for the pink, he should be able to make a century without needing to play for another red. And there was actually a gap for you to try and squeeze that pink into the green pocket, which is exactly what he's done. And now the black for it to be a really nice return and a break of 62 and now 101 points as well for Ronnie O'Sullivan to say he's certainly not going to be messing around with this one. And even though you could say that these best win of the previous season's World Championship was in the first round against Ali Carter, especially after he managed to sort of recover really well after losing the first frame. You know, played some real consistent snooker, especially in session number 2. Is he going to be back with the same type of performance in the second round against Higgins? We'll have to wait and see, because for now, it does look like it's only one more frame for Shegoshan to try and survive here, because the green is about to be taken into the yellow pocket. It doesn't look like he's going to be perfectly on the yellow. The green and pink will have to switch their spots there, because the pink has spent the majority of the frame time sat on the green spot, and unfortunately it won't be a total clearance. It's still going to be a really nice repetition, and 2 breaks now of 113 exactly, as it is Ronnie O'Sullivan that makes his way back to his seat, and he will be down to Shegoshan to try and do the impossible surely of winning 8 frames in a bounce, because for now it is Ronnie O'Sullivan that finds himself only 1 frame away from glory. And let's have a look how table 2 is doing. And certainly he's doing in favour of Si Xiaowei. 36 points is the advantage, and 43 at the table. And C's the one at the table as well, so looking to try and get that red, which is going to be a frame ball, to try and establish an early frame lead after making a century, by the way, in the first frame of exactly 100 points. He's managed to have a break of 48 points here, and now looking for that last missing red, which will surely put him into a position of having 2-0 of the advantage. And listen, for Ronnie, he can't say anything negative, because right now, Rocket is launched. Happy Ronnie, absolutely. What's the reason of being negative if he's playing really well? Yes, he's had a couple of early misses in the 10th frame, but, you know, all down to managing to win that frame when you're not really playing well. And look at that for the century break. Do you think Ronnie will use this cue against Higgins if he wins? Listen, I feel like he's an intelligent human being, and he should have learned his lesson from last year, where you shouldn't change your cue midway through the session when you've played the first session there, and you're about to come up for the second session against Zhao Xington that has been smashing opponents with fun. I feel like he doesn't really have a lot more admiration for anyone on the tour than he has got for John Higgins. I mean, name me one player. Mark Williams, maybe. I still feel like John will have the edge on that. And he certainly will give him a lot of respect, and he'll try and play his best snooker against Higgins. And listen, they've played in golf. That was the only time they've played this season, I'm pretty sure, because we haven't seen Ronnie O'Sullivan against Mark Williams. We could have seen that in the Xi'an Grand Prix final, because Ronnie lost in the quarterfinals to Gary Wilson. And against John Higgins, he wasn't really playing in the tournaments where Higgins was doing well, because World Open, Higgins gets eliminated in the first round, and then Saudi Masters, I don't even remember where John Higgins has gone. But anyway, it's 12 frame now, and I said 10-3 is going to be the scoreline. I could be well wrong on the positive side for me, because it's going to be another fantastic red to be queued. And look at that for a shot. That is absolutely trademark from Ronnie O'Sullivan, because look at that placement of the reds perfectly into the center of the pocket, and look at where the cue ball managed to finish on the black, with black not being available before that shot is played. He gets that red away from the black, and he stuns the cue ball to be perfectly lines up on the most expensive of those colours. Shegoshan's played one shot in this frame, and he could well have played his last shot of the entire encounter. Listen, the second session of Zhao Xington against John Higgins has so far been the quickest stream on the channel, with the second best being Steve Maguire against John Higgins in the semi-final. Could we see the first round elimination here, with 10 frames to 2 being the same scoreline as Li Beifan against Wu Yize? And now we are going to be looking at, you know, a couple of reds that he can try and take into the corner, whether it's going to be the red or the right-hand side of the table. Match pot time, as you can see, still 94% of the pot success, 15 shots out of 250 that he has missed in the entire match out there, and at 73%, 8 out of 11 long pots, which is really good for him, especially with me being able to think of 3 of those 4 that he's missed. So clearly been really consistent with, the other parts of his long shot game. Early tee time for Nah, you know what it is? He's probably trying to catch the train to Dublin because he said he's going to be commuting. He knows he doesn't have to play until Saturday. And you know what it is on Thursday. You want to be out there. You want to watch a little bit of snooker in the evening. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be watching Mark Selby to play against Jack Jones. It doesn't really strike as one of those matches that he'll win, that he will certainly want to be watching out there. But he may try and watch CJ Way against the Swain Fahey if he's up for it. But what he certainly should be up for is putting a red like that into the corner. And he didn't even manage to get close to it. Of course, playing for the black helped him a little bit. And now we'll be down to Shegoshan to try and take control of this one. Let's see online exactly. Just maybe a double that you take at this stage because he's not going to leave any other reds apart from the one that he's taking on. He's tried to cut this one into the middle. You feel like that is going to bounce away, but he has got the cover, to be fair. As long as there's not going to be an awkward plan there that Ronnie can take into the same red, they should still be very much available for, Sheg to try and return to the table. So 30 plus breaks so far for Ronnie, 11 of those, total points 861, highest break of 113, average break of 42.1. I'm not sure if that's going to count all the 1 point breaks that he had, because I'm pretty sure that wouldn't really make sense because he's had 4 really good breaks of 80 plus, as you can see, 86, 97, 113 twice, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't really count those ones. Thanks for covering, as it were. Yes, listen, it's one of those things where it could have been a lot longer of a session, but we'll be back with, Ding Zhuwei Zhao in the second round. I'm pretty sure if you look at the schedule for the matches, you have to choose 2 of those, and then you just have to try and make sure they don't overlap, which, fingers crossed, if Ronnie does make his way through Share, which, he's about as close as he can be, 50 points away or so. It could be this long shot away. It's a bit of a bad shot from Shegoshan. Ronnie's not going to have any pressure, but he's not going to have loads of good queuing. I mean, is he going to fluke this one? It's going to be close. No, it's not going to be too close at the end. And he's left 2 reds over the left and right middle there. So this is a chance for Shea to try and make a game out of this one because, 21 minutes is his last spot time. The match has been going on for around 30 minutes as well. And now let's see if the red is about to be taken carefully into the left middle. He wants to be on the blue. Well, that's not going to be a nice shot for you to play. Because good news for him, he's still got 1 more red over the corner. Over the right middle, I should say. But it's a bit of a bad shot that he's played. But the position is really good in relation to, I can easily see 3 reds for him to be taking apart from that red next to the middle. And it's all going to be down to just trying to make sure you get yourself lined up into the easy reds to be taken. And then it will be down to taking this blue into the corner. Ronnie's watching very closely, but has he overcut this one? He has. That will stay out. No matter how, big the buckets are, as some of those fans call it, after what we've seen in Liam Highfield and Mark Cullen's match, but certainly that blue is going to stay. I'm pretty sure the pockets have been pretty good, to be fair. I've seen those clips of Ireland and Highfield, but I'm pretty sure those have been the only sort of shots which I would have said I don't really expect that red to drop in, or the colour. But at the end point, it does seem like that is the last shot that Shegoshan has played, because I said the position is really good. And sometimes when you give a decent enough position to Ronnie O'Sullivan, you may as well try and make sure you get yourself, an early ticket on the train. Because, listen, in the UK, if you get it after 10 o'clock, you should be getting it cheaper. I'll have to wait and see if Shegoshan is going to be looking to try and stay in Sheffield for a couple of more days, because right now, he doesn't seem like he's going to be staying in Sheffield for the Crucible. Look at that for a fantastic bit of clearance from Rory O'Sullivan, trying to split 7 of those reds away from each other, and he's probably managed to get 6 of those to being the open play. And yeah, look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2 more that he's put, a little bit too close to the side cushion, but that is about as good as you possibly can dream about it. And I tell you what, it's a break of 7 points, but it may not be too early to be talking about potentially trying to finish with 2 back-to-back centuries. He's still awkwardly placed from the paint. Yes, that is the case, but, if he just manages to hold that cue ball, hold station with it, and just try and push one of those reds towards the middle, he doesn't want to be hampered by too many of those, and he's done that really well in relation to not being hampered by the reds. And he's about to take a couple of those reds with the blue, which, to be fair, as I say, I'm not really worried about him winning the frame with how easy the position that he's managed to make for himself. It's all going to be down to just trying to finish with back-to-back centuries, as he's done against Carter in the previous year in the first round. He had 4 centuries in that match. He didn't have too many 50-plus breaks, which to me was, I can't really remember that match, I'll be honest with you. I certainly remember he was struggling in the first session, and he's managed to play really well as soon as he realised that the scoreline was not going to be an issue. Something that he seems like he's managed to do ever since that frame number 7, where he had a struggling point in frame number 8 as well, but managed to come back stronger. And now he's on a break of 27 points. So he's 10 points safe in relation to that century break. If he is to make a total clearance with, all those reds and colours being available, he's about to take another red away from the pink. That's 1 point that he can lose. But of course, the only thing for him is try and make sure you don't use the blue too many times here, as if you're still worried about him winning this frame, he only needs 2 more shots after this red, which he has taken into the corner. So now the pink to go 60 points clear, and then the red for only 59 points to be available at the table as well. So this has been a really quick stuff there from Ronnie. It's 10-1 against Jackson Page in the first round in 2024, 10-4 against Ali Carter in 2025, and now 10 frames to 2 against Che Gauchon, because it was 5 frames on the bounce when he won in the first session. He allowed his Chinese player, his opponent from China, to try and come back with winning 2 frames on the bounce himself. But ever since that point, there was nothing that was going to stop him from winning this match comfortably well. And now, the only thing that I was thinking about throughout the majority of this frame, it's a bad shot that he's played on the black here. He's got way too much of the angle whilst being a little bit too close to the black here. So has to try and take the pace away from it. But once again, the cueing is going to be so effortless for him. And can he get on the black with the next rate? He should be able to do that, but he doesn't really have to worry about that one too much. Match time, 3 hours only. I mean, we've seen sessions that have been going longer for that. It's been a really quick show there for Ronnie, and look at that for a shot. Fantastic red that he managed to bring into play. And as long as the red next to the right middle is going to be possible for him, he should still be lined up for this century to be very much an option for him. He doesn't want to be straight on the yellow though. And he's looking for those points. So he's just got the yellow here. And he's actually probably gone for... Yeah, he needs a black of this red, then, and then he's going to be lined up for 100 points exactly. It seems like he's not going to be too bothered about this one. Have I done my maths wrong? Yeah, he is. He's still perfectly fine there. Well, don't doubt he's scoring, because Paul Scholes is certainly going to be enjoying this one as he watches in, well, I assume, the VIP row, as he's still able to take it with the pink to make sure the last break of this match is going to be 100 points exactly if he does make it towards the total clearance. And he's only going to be 4 shots away from doing that, as he's on 98 points. But ultimately the break of 78 points and counting here. Doing that with back-to-back centuries will certainly send a statement towards John Higgins, because despite John having 2 more extra days to try and rest before this match, you feel like, certainly from the odds point of view, despite John Higgins being the highest seed, it is going to be Ronnie O'Sullivan that potentially can try and take a revenge out on Higgins for all those losses. Remember, they have met before in the semi-final of the 2022 World Championship. Ronnie managed to take that one, and let's see if it is going to be revenge incoming for John Higgins, because for now, it is going to be great acknowledgement from Ronnie O'Sullivan, as he says, it's been a pleasure for me to play you to Che Gauchon. Lovely bit of moment there from Legend, and look at that. Everyone in the stands, including the legend of Manchester United, is going to be applauding that performance. And, well, Che Gauchon will be back. It was his debut at the Crucible, but at the end, it is 100 points exactly for Ronnie O'Sullivan to finish off the Session 2, and it is 3 centuries at the end where he manages to produce, and he's certainly done that on style. Does he play tomorrow on Friday? I'm pretty sure he doesn't play on either one of those. I'm pretty sure you'll have to wait till Saturday morning. Or maybe, no, I'm pretty sure it is going to be either Friday evening or Saturday morning out there. I'll have to double check. The schedule will be on the channel, because right now we can certainly tell you we are going to be doing 3 sessions of Ding Junhui against Zhao Xingtong, and then we're going to be doing 3 sessions of Ronnie O'Sullivan against John Higgins. The class of 92 are very much at it again. We've got 3 of them to be in the second round. Only 2 can make it to the round 3. Are you doing Selby Robinson? Nah, because it's not really a lot of points for doing just one of the sessions of the matches. We will be back with the second round, and listen, we certainly had so many of those seeds to be progressing to round 2. Let's see if Jack Jones, Pan Jung-soo or Hossein Mafei can try and knock out at least one of Xi Xiaowei, Mark Selby or Neil Robertson, or is it going to be 16 out of 16 seeds to try and make it to the second round of the World Championship in 2026? It was a very quick session, but listen, you can't say we weren't entertained. The breaks of 62, 100 and 113 points for a 45-minute session. It's not too bad for a shift there for Ronnie, and he'll be back stronger, hopefully, to try and produce some incredible snooker against John Higgins. As it is for now, it is going to be another record-extending match for him to try and play in the second round of the Crucible. As the match is now finished by 10 frames to 2, feel free to be back for Xiao Xington against Ding Junhui, but for now, the Rocket's business is done in the round 1, and we'll see him trying to make sure he is the one to potentially be joined against Mark Williams to try and make it through to the round 3. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Stay tuned in, more snooker on your way. Xiao Xington, Ding Junhui, and then Ronnie O'Sullivan against John Higgins. Speak to you soon, thanks for watching, and as I say, stay tuned in because the World Championship is about to get to a whole new level.
Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly, and I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. La 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 la, oh, oh. Get me out of broken hearts and starting fights, turning truth to lies. Gotta get up, stop wasting time. Yeah, I wanna run off and fly, and I tell myself it's fine.